I got into coaching, I really directed my focus towards other people and, figuring out how I could help other people. And then in some way that really returned its favor and brought it back to me and how I could become happy again and be better. So I think focusing on the other people actually helps the most.
Welcome to Champions Mojo Weekly Podcast, where your hosts Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker share with you what it takes to be a champion. Kelly is a former Division I head swim coach, Olympic trials qualifier, and holds Masters World and National swimming records. And Maria holds world records in endurance cycling and was the overall women's winner of the world's toughest bike race, Race Across America. They'll be sharing their personal stories and wisdom, along with interviewing other champions to give you the tools you need for becoming a true champion in your own life. And now, your host, Kelly Pallas.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast, where today we'll be talking with world champion swimmer and national team member Margo Geer. Margo is on the comeback trail after taking a year out of the pool and having shoulder surgery in 2016 after the Olympic trials, and she's back in a big way. Margo is currently one of the USA's top sprint freestylers, a professional swimmer. She's sponsored by TYR, and she's a member of the LA Current professional swim team. Before we bring Margo in, I want to say hello to my co-host, Maria Parker. Hello, Maria.
Hi, Kelly. I'm really looking forward to talking with Margo today. She's a true speedster in this pool and has a very interesting story to share. First, I want to give our listeners a bit more background on Margo before we talk with her. After finishing a stellar NCAA career at the University of Arizona, where Margo was one of the first women ever to break 47 seconds in the 100-yard freestyle, she went on to win a gold medal for the U.S. at the 2015 World Championships as part of the 400 mixed free relay. Then 2016 and 2017 were real years of transition for Margo. When at the 2016 Olympic trials, she failed to make the Olympic team, then that same year had shoulder surgery and spent a year completely out of the water while helping coach the Ohio State University swim team. This rather unusual path has led Margo to her best performances ever, culminating in making this year's 2019 World Championships team, winning a relay silver there and also an individual gold in the 100 free at this summer's Pan American Games Championships. There's a lot here to discuss, and we're really looking forward to talking with this champion, Margo Geer.
Definitely, Maria. Then without further delay, let's welcome Margo to the show. Margo, great to have you here. Welcome to Champions Mojo.
Yes, Margo, welcome.
Thanks to both of you. I'm super excited to talk with you guys and hope the listeners can get some good stuff out of this.
Oh, absolutely. Your story is so interesting to me. And I one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the show is because it's just unusual to take a whole year out of the water. It's just like when I heard that, a lot of people, you were just so dominant in your NCAA career and really, really fantastic 4 or 5 years ago, and then you just kind of disappeared. I know you went into coaching, but it was
probably
like
very real to your family and friends. But
yes, you disappeared kind of from the pool. You were on the deck as a coach at Ohio State University or helping them. So update us, or let me say, did we miss anything in your introduction that really would help set your story up a little bit better?
You guys hit quite a bit. I'm currently at University of Alabama, I guess, for the current situation. But no, you guys got it pretty right. I took a year off following 2016, and I was pretty sure I wasn't going to continue swimming. And at that point, I really wanted to get into coaching. And so I reached out to Bill Dorenkott at Ohio State, which I'm from Ohio, so I should preface that, and asked Bill if I could help out with the women's team there, and he agreed to that. And so I wasn't exactly sure I would ever make my way back into the pool. It started out as being on deck and being around the college swimmers again. And slowly things changed, I guess.
I read that, or maybe I heard an interview that you were inspired by their love for swimming, that you'd sort of maybe lost it. And then when you watch these younger people swim, you sort of caught it again. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say I totally lost the love for swimming. I think I lost a little bit of just what I wanted out of swimming. I think I was just kind of bummed and down on myself a little bit. I've always loved the sport of swimming. I don't think that ever got completely taken away, but I think it was just offered this like totally fresh new perspective. And so I was working with these college swimmers, and it kind of lit a fire again, because I got a sense of that competitiveness and that sort of drive that they had throughout the season. And then I was also helping out with a club team on the side, coaching 8 and unders, and which was, just going completely back to the basics of the sport and trying to make it really fun and creative for them, and watching them move through the sport in those younger years was really eye-opening for me too, and offered definitely a fresh perspective.
How did you overcome the sort of sense of being down on yourself?
I think for a while, maybe going into to trials and even afterwards, I guess I would use the word selfish. I was really like worried about myself, really focused on what I was doing in all aspects of life. And I think following that, when I got into coaching, I really directed my focus towards other people, and figuring out how I could help other people, and then in some way that really returned its favor and brought it back to me, and how I could become happy again and be better. So I think focusing on the other people actually helps the most.
That's really profound. So is that what you're bringing to your swimming now? More of an outward focus?
I think I am. In the lead up to this, we talked about Ryan Held, and I have a few other, really, really great teammates here. And I think being at Alabama and having this sort of group here that we have, I really do. I think about how I can best help them, and how we can all kind of get to our goals and accomplish what we want to do together. And I don't know if I necessarily had that mindset before.
Can you share a little bit about your current training regimen and, your location and how you got there? I know you've sacrificed a lot, like those that, heard the Ryan Held interview, that, several of you sprinters followed Coley Stickels from Indiana, which is where you were, to Alabama, which is where you are now. So what is your current training regimen like?
Yeah, we moved in May to Tuscaloosa from Bloomington, and we're training here. We have, I think, 5 other pro swimmers here working with Coley Stickels, and so we're working Monday through Saturday here at the university alongside the college team, and it's just been a really great environment. I think the college team has been super receptive to the new training methods that Coley's using, and so we're doing all kinds of cool stuff. We got lots of areas to use. They're renovating their pool currently, so they just finished their outdoor pool, and it has all kinds of great space for us to use for dry land, for boxing, and all kinds of boxing bag dry land sort of stuff. I'm not sure if you've seen videos of it. It's kind of unorthodox, and so yeah, we do that. We do some sort of dry land and swimming once a day, Monday through Saturday.
Is that fun? I mean, is that very different for you?
Yeah, so I've been with Coley for 2 years now. So in terms of training regimen, the past 2 years has been somewhat similar. He does like to change it up, which is awesome for someone like me who's been around for a while, and I can get that sort of variety and be excited about something new coming every day. But before that, I was kind of more in the more traditional, doing doubles and that sort of thing in the college schedule with dual meets and all that. But it's much different now as a pro.
Yeah, the one a days is just, it's very unique. I don't think a lot of even sprinters are doing one a days, or maybe they're doing them with a couple of other doubles, but you guys are just doing 6 workouts a week. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. That's right. Every now and then we'll throw in maybe a double, but it wouldn't be it wouldn't be the extra yardage or anything. It'd be more for maybe videoing or something like that. So the main work that we get done is just a single, and I don't think that should take away from the sheer like the toughness of it. Yeah, I think that what we get done within that amount of time is a lot, and so there's just a bunch of different ways to do things, and that's just the way we do it.
I think it's really cool because you're doing, I guess the idea is a lot of really high quality things versus just quantity. But I wanted to ask you, after the 2016 Olympic trials and the other obstacles that you've sort of, had to overcome, how is that, those maybe disappointments, how are they informing your training and also your look at the future?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is, life throws all sorts of things at you, and there's never a perfect way to do things. There's always going to be bumps in the road. And so I think a couple of years ago that really threw me off track, and it really bothered me mentally. And I think now I'm kind of learning. I wouldn't say I'm great at it yet, but I do feel like I've grown a lot, and I'm learning how to take things and kind of work with them and try to move forward the best you can regardless.
So you're learning how to deal with disappointments or difficulties, would you say? Is that and what is there a specific technique that you're using that you can share with our listeners? Because you're right, we all do have bad things happen or disappointing performances. What would you say that those techniques are?
Yeah, I mean, they come in all sizes too. I think the ones we're talking about are maybe bigger obstacles or bigger things that I had to deal with. But I think now I'm trying to maybe figure out, on a day-to-day how to deal with the smaller obstacles. So, maybe a harder practice or a longer practice that I would rather not do as many yards or something like that. I'll try to take some sort of positive out of that, and just trying to find little things to work on regardless of the obstacles or the hard times.
Yeah. Do you have any maybe routines or rituals that help you be successful, either ones that you use in practice and or, before a big meet?
Yeah, I think a lot of times during practice, I think your self-talk's like super important. So I think one of the things I've been working on this season especially is being aware of what I'm saying to myself during practice. So I don't know if that's necessarily routine, but day to day, that's what I'm working on. And then post practice, a routine that I've been following is I've been trying to just write down some more stuff besides just the workout, but just kind of my thoughts or things that I'm thinking about that day, about that practice, and trying to just get that out on paper. And I'm sort of a more quiet, reserved, inward person. So I think it's helpful for me to kind of write that down and get it out on paper. So that way I'm, reflecting a little bit more.
So you're not totally aware of your thoughts. So let's take, for example, 100 long course free. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is this is your bread and butter. You've swum it 100 times. It's, and I'm a distance swimmer, so, and Maria is an endurance cyclist. So we are familiar with pain, but there is a unique 100-meter long course free pain in the last 20 meters where, that last 20 meters is where you either win gold or you get fifth, Mm-hmm. So what is going through your mind when you hit the 80-meter mark in the 100-meter free?
This is, if I had the perfect answer for this, I'd probably be already a gold medalist. But no, I think that's definitely something I'm working on every day in practice. And I think one thing I talk about with my coach a lot is, when you do get to that point in the race, a lot of things are maybe not working at that point the way that you want them to be. So maybe your legs are dying, or your arms are hurting, or whatever it may be, your body is struggling at that point. And so we talk about there has to be something that's still working. It has to be something that can still drive you forward to that finish line. So we're working on figure out what that is and and draw attention to that. You want to focus on the thing that's working, not the things that are starting to fail you. So whether that's the speed of your kick or the finish of your hands, something. So that's kind of what I'm looking to think about going into the last 20.
That's great. I love Kelly has a story of one of her swimmers telling herself, I have straight white teeth. Just anything positive. Yeah, anything positive.
Anything better than the piano's falling on me. If you can just, just say, I'm strong. But Maria, I was going to say, you also have, when Margo was describing exactly what is working, you on these big, long, endurance world records that you've set say, I may have an upset stomach, but hey, my arms feel pretty good.
Yeah, my fingernails are looking good right now.
Yeah.
Right. I love your honesty, Margo, about your struggles with your thoughts, because that's what we all struggle with. At the bottom of it, our thoughts control our moods and our feelings. And so thanks so much for sharing with that. And I'd be interested, like when you've succeeded, like in that last 20 yards, when you've succeeded in turning your thoughts from the piano on your back or whatever, what is a good thought that you've had? I mean, is it the speed of your kick or your pull through? Or
well, it's interesting. So the most vivid 100 free race I can actually remember, because I will admit most of them you finish, you don't remember too much, but the one I do remember the most is from it was short course yards, so it's a little different, but it was the time I went the 46. I think it was like 46.8.
Woo! I got to stop you, Maria. You're not a swimmer. Do you? Okay, let's talk about this because we have swimmers and non-swimmers, and then we're going to go right back to you, Margo.
Okay.
And so this is 4 lengths of a pool, Maria. And that's 46
and you don't get to stop
seconds.
At the end and hang on and catch your breath.
No, you do get to stop at the end.
No, but not between the...
Well, you wouldn't go 46 seconds, but just think about that in the blink of an eye, that it's
That's
46
amazing.
Seconds to go 4 lengths of the pool.
That blows my mind,
truly,
Margo.
And I think Margo was either the first woman or the second woman to ever go under that, and that's a huge barrier. So anyway, so back to this.
So what was on your mind at that? Yeah.
Tell us. I want to hear it play by play.
Well, so I'd swum the 100 free earlier in the meet. So this was actually on a lead off of a relay. So this was my last race of the entire meet. I think I had swum something like 13 times or something within 3 days. So this was my very last race. So physically I was probably not the most fresh, right? Like my body was hurting. But this was a lead off on the relay, and this was a relay that we were really trying to win. And so I do remember this race the most, and I wasn't at all thinking about anything physical. Actually, in the last 15 yards or whatever going in, it's similar to that long course feeling where your things are starting to shut off and you're starting to fail a little bit. But my mind was all on getting my hand on the wall to get the lead for the team. And so I will say, although I am focusing on what's working in that moment on the relay, I was just focusing on handing it off and giving the biggest lead possible. And so that was really the only thing on my mind.
So this is a perfect example of what you said in the beginning of the show, which is when I think about helping others, I do better. So there you are. All you're thinking about is what can I do for my team, and you're not. That's wonderful. I love that.
That's beautiful. So when you get to Olympic trials this time, you can just think, I'm going to do this for my sprint group and my fans and my co-host on Champions Mojo who want to see you. We want all of our guests to hit the big time, and you're going to.
Yeah, and I think your story, Margo, I'm so inspired because I think so many of us struggle with negative thoughts, and you're sharing about learning to figure out what those are by writing them down, or and then saying what's really true, and usually the negative thoughts are not true, or at least they're a variation of true that you don't have to focus on. So I thanks so much for sharing that, and I'm interested. Do you feel like you're improving in your ability to sort of collect those thoughts and say no to the bad ones and yes to the good ones?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think you're ever gonna, totally eliminate, you know, I don't even like the word bad thoughts, but just, negative thoughts, maybe, thoughts that aren't helping you. So you're never going to eliminate those completely, but just maybe cutting down the time that you dwell on them, and being able to move forward a little bit more quickly. I think I've definitely improved with that. And I think stepping away and coaching for that year definitely helped that aspect of being able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can so see that with your experience at, you're in the pool at one point and then you're on deck, so you can really get a bigger grasp of how thoughts affect you. Yes.
And you can channel your inner 8-year-old with the just pure joy of it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. I did want to ask you about that because I had heard, I don't know, I've seen you on different interviews but I don't know which one this was, but I really felt that you love swimming, that you love the actual experience of the water and the way you feel in the water. And can you just tell us what you love about swimming and how you feel when you swim?
Yeah, this kind of goes back to what I was saying, how I never really fell out of love with swimming. But some people, I think they enjoy swimming for a bunch of different reasons, but maybe they don't necessarily just enjoy being in the water. And I think I do have that, where if I'm just in the water, there's some sort of peacefulness there for me. And so when I did take so much time away, and I actually did not even get in the water at all for many months. And then the very first time I did get in, it was a very, very uplifting experience to just get back in the water and kind of feel my body moving through again. And that's always going to be there. I think I just enjoy being around the water, being in it. I mean, I do like making friends and going different places and all that stuff. But when it comes down to it, I do just like being in the water as well.
I love that. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that first time back in the water and the joy. It sounds like it was sort of an emotional experience for you. What got you to get in the water? What were you thinking about?
This was at Ohio State, and I actually was this was post NCAA, so I think I had maybe seen some of the girls, performing and whatnot, and so I thought about getting back in, just, and when I say I got back in, I mean, I didn't put a cap on or anything. I was just, hair down. It was totally raw. I was in a, old suit, and I just jumped in, and I wasn't really even swimming. I was kind of just sculling around and just kind of feeling it again. Cause at this point, I hadn't taken any strokes in a long time. So, and that was it. And I just got back out, and I knew right then, I was like, oh yeah, that felt really great. And I could totally get back into that. So yeah, it was pretty memorable. I do remember that.
That is, I thought it sounded like a spiritual experience. So that's so cool that you didn't even have a cap on. I feel terrible when I don't have a cap on, but so Margo, you are now, you have been since 2015 a professional swimmer, and this is an exciting new career for many of you guys. You may go into coaching. That's something that is an option for your future. But right now, at this moment and for the next year, you are a professional swimmer. So I'd love to get your thoughts on this new career option for swimmers, the International Swim League. You're going to be part of the LA Current, and just what your thoughts are on being a pro swimmer and the Pro Swim League.
Yeah, I was at a clinic a couple weeks ago, and I was talking with the kids, and we were talking about dreaming big and how you can really, just make anything a dream. You can set your mind to all kinds of things. And when I was thinking about it, I was thinking these kids, years ago, dreaming of being a pro swimmer was kind of out there, not many people at all could do that. And it's still really, really hard. But I was thinking wow, being a pro swimmer is much more in reach now, because we do have these opportunities. And I was thinking that just how cool that is, that's becoming a thing. And so, yeah, being a pro has been really fun. It's definitely challenging, but it's mostly fun.
What's challenging about it?
It's challenging, I would say, because there is a team aspect, but you are pretty individualized, and you got to manage yourself a lot more. I think on a college team, you got a pretty strict schedule. You kind of follow. I mean, we still follow coach's orders, but I think now you do get to make a little bit more of your own decisions, and you get to kind of create your own, how you want to be a pro. So I think you have a lot to think about how you want to do things.
Your first ISL swim meet, are you swimming in all of the meets? Like, do you have to swim in all of them? Or are you swimming in just a few, or what's the schedule there?
The plan is to swim in all of them. I think our first one is like the third week of October. We travel to Dallas, and it's a 2-day meet. And then we go straight to Budapest for a week, and then we'll swim that following weekend. We'll compete the Friday or Saturday, Sunday of that next weekend. And then in November, we have another one in, I believe, DC. And then the final is in Vegas in December. And yeah, planning to swim in all of them. I think we mainly just don't really know what to expect, but we're all pretty excited about it. So I think once it finally comes, it'll feel real. But right now we're kind of just in anticipation.
Yes, and you have an opportunity to make some money there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
Another chance for income. So it's great for all the pro swimmers out there.
Well, obviously, I think I saw a statistic or an article that said 100% of the swimmers that are in the International Swim League were at the World Championships, which I think is such a cool stat, because that means it's just such a high level of swimming. And so we wanted to ask you what commonalities, because you're around a lot of champions, you've been in these pro groups, you've coached. What commonalities do you think that champions share?
Commonalities. So I would say, we all share, I think we share way more than we realize, probably, in terms of mindset. I would say we all probably have some sort of vision where we can see the thing that we want to do pretty clearly. Whether it's, I don't even think this has to be swimming. It could be with anything, but I think the mindset is we can actually see it pretty clearly. And then we're all pretty driven, I would say, in terms of once we do see it, we know how to do it, how to actually put it into play. So we have the vision, we can do it. And then when things get really hard and we don't necessarily want to do it, we still do it. I think that's probably 3 of the things that we have in common.
Wow. I think you nailed it.
I do too.
Wow.
I love those things. Can you share, you don't have to share the biggest vision, I know, but can you share one of the clear, this is what I see myself, this in this meet or this thing, this is the thing I really can see myself doing and I want it bad?
As in the future, or something that did
in the
happen?
future. In the future.
Oh, in the future, in terms of swimming?
Yes.
What I would have to say, seeing myself making the Olympic team.
Wonderful.
That's a vision I can see pretty clearly. I don't know if I could. I think it's gotten more clear as the years have gone by.
It's something you've been thinking about for a while.
I can see that clearly for you, Margo, really. And everybody that knows you, from Cody Miller to Ryan Held to your coaches, I see it. I'm a very avid follower of swimming, and especially women's swimming. And you're so setting yourself up to achieve that goal. So I know it's hard to put you on the spot like that. Obviously we're having you on the show. We're doing Olympic hopefuls.
We believe in you.
We believe in you.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you didn't have that vision, that would probably be, I think it's definitely glad that you can see it, because I think everybody else sees it for you.
Yeah. Clearly you have the coaching, the talent, and the mindset. And the time, and the maturity, which, I think you're going to achieve your goals.
Yeah. So when Margo, when would you say your Olympic dream started? Like, what was the little seed? We just interviewed Dave Marsh. Actually, it's his podcast, David Marsh, this week. And he says there's a ignition moment.
Oh yeah. I love that. Yeah.
I love that ignition moment where Kathleen Baker held a medal. Or no, she went to Olympic trials when she was 10, and that was it. She was like, Mom and Dad, I'm going to the Olympic trial. I'm going to the Olympics. Like, what was your ignition moment, or when did your Olympic dream start?
Whew. Well, in terms of like a moment I can really remember, it had to be when I was 10. It's the same as Kathleen, I guess, age-wise, but I was 10 and I was swimming in the state championships, like the age group state championships. It was down in Cincinnati, and I had swum the 50 freestyle, and I went, like, I don't know the exact time, but I went a time that at the time they had these like T16 times. That was kind of like your goal. You wanted to get in the T16, which meant like the top 16 in the country. And so I was shooting for this time, and I remember I swam and I went under the time. And so the announcer was announcing, Margo Geer with a new T16 time. And then he kind of paused for a second. And he said, that time is now the top time in the country.
Wow.
And I remember, I was 10, but like just the way he said it, like he was so excited, and everyone in the crowd kind of, they were watching, they kind of stopped what they were doing at that time. And so I think that was a pretty cool moment for me as like a little kid, where I thought, wow, that seems really good. And I wonder if I could, keep going and kind of make people, stop what they're doing in a moment to watch something like that. That's pretty powerful.
Oh my gosh. You just made the whole podcast for me.
That's beautiful.
That is a great story. Oh my gosh. I love it. I can totally see that. And, that's just beautiful. Who's inspired you the most in your swimming career? Can be coach, swimmer, parent, whatever, but who have you looked at and thought, wow, that's just so inspirational for me?
Well, right off the top of my head, I think of my parents, mainly because they pretty much dropped, anything and everything to help my brother and I do anything we wanted. So I have a brother, he's 4 years older than me. And so we both swam growing up, and they were pretty much, they were willing to do anything. So I think that right there is pretty inspirational. And I recognized that even when I was young, as a kid. Probably my brother is another big one. He's a super smart guy. He's a doctor up at the University of Michigan. And I think being around him and just growing up around him, he was always super curious and wanted to learn all the time. And so I think that definitely rubbed off on me, and in terms of all kinds of things, but definitely swimming. And so probably my family, my parents and my brother.
That's awesome. Was your brother a swimmer?
He was, yeah. He swam at University of Dennison and competed there. It's a Division III school in Ohio. So yeah, he swam in college.
What kind of doctor is he?
He's in his chief resident year right now, so he'll go into fellowship next year, and he's going to be a hematologist. Very
cool. Well, we have a lot of doctors in our families here. Maria's husband, my brother, is a doctor, and their son is he's 1 year out from being a doctor. Just thought
wow.
That's interesting.
And it sounds like you and Kelly and my husband and her brother have sort of a similar relationship that you have with your brother, sort of an admiring, just really, they've always been really close. Have you always been very close with your brother?
Yeah. We've been close, and I always looked up to him for sure.
Yeah, I have that with my brother, doctor, swimmer. But the breaking of my heart, Margo, which you can relate to, so my brother, even though he's younger, I consider him older just because he's kind of wiser, and he was always a better swimmer than me, but he wanted to be a doctor from a very young age. And you know how hard that is to study. And so he and Maria here went to the University of Virginia, and they met at the University of Virginia. And Maria, I know you've heard this story before, but Mark Bernardino, who was the coach at
Mm-hmm.
UVA when my brother and Maria swam there. I think Jim swam in like an intramural swim meet or something. It was like
he swam for his fraternity.
like fraternity. And so, so he was a sprinter, Margo. And I think without any training at all, he like jumps in and goes 22, just like nothing. Just
my goodness.
you know, and
he was out of the pool before anybody even got to it was amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here?
Tall and big hands, big feet,
Yeah.
really. So every coach that like he would come to swim practice and occasionally like get in the water and swim around a little bit, and the coaches would come up to me afterwards and go, "Why isn't your brother swimming? Why doesn't he swim?" And it's like he just didn't like swimming. But I swear he could have been something.
He said he didn't like the water in his nose and his eyes. He's not like you, Margo.
He is not like you, who appreciates it. But anyway, but he's a great, amazing doctor. He's done really some historic research and contributions to the medical industry. So I think he chose the right path.
Chose the right thing. Yep.
Yeah, and Margo,
he's a good man.
he definitely did. Okay, so
Yeah, I guess the last question, Margo, is, I mean, you have really got some wisdom, and I'd love, do you have anything that we haven't asked that you'd like to share with our listeners?
If there's kids on here, I mean, I like talking to kids about stuff because I feel like you can really impact them as they're growing up. But I just think one important thing is just to, like I said before, like you have a vision for your goals, but also realize that just everyone's path is just so different. And so even though you look up to someone and they're doing something a certain way, doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You can do it your own way. And so I try to preach that to kids when I talk to them at clinics and things, to just kind of carve your own path and don't be scared to go your own way, but try to do it at the very best that you can.
I love it. That's great. And I know we have parents that tell me that kids listen to this on their way to swim practice. So that will be really good. Okay, so those are the tough questions. Now let's do the fun ones. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Take your mark.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Red or blue?
Blue.
Milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Ooh, milk.
Kickboard or no kickboard?
No kickboard.
Mountains or beach?
Ooh, I love both. I'll say beach.
Football or baseball?
Football. My dad coached football, so I'm a football
Cool.
girl.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning person or night owl?
Honestly, neither. But
Middle of the day.
I'll go with night owl.
Night owl. Okay, fingernail polish or no fingernail polish?
No fingernail polish.
All right, that's my
Okay.
girl.
Yeah,
Maria?
yeah. I would have guessed about 6 out of those 10. All right, here's mine. Favorite book?
Oh, favorite book. Well, right now I'm reading Slight Edge, which is a pretty good book. Yeah, I'll go with that for now.
Okay. All right.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie. I like The Prestige. Have you ever seen that?
No, I
No,
haven't.
have to check it out.
Yep.
Okay. Favorite vegetable?
I would say, I mean, I eat a lot of salad. Probably, I like carrots with like hummus or something like that. Usually a vegetable with something.
Vegetables and sauces. Any vegetable and a sauce. Okay. All right. Your favorite United States swim complex that you've swum in?
Oh, that's hard. There's so many good ones. I'm going to say University of Alabama.
Good answer. What's a song on your pre-race playlist?
A song on my playlist. Probably anything. I like Drake a lot. Probably Drake or J. Cole.
Okay.
Something upbeat.
Shoe size.
11.
Great. And we know you have a brother. Favorite Star Wars character?
Star Wars. Ooh. I like Chewie's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
I'll go with
Chewy, yeah.
Chewie.
Chewy's my favorite.
I like it.
Can you cook?
Yes.
Great. What word comes to mind when you dive into the water?
Probably the word go.
Ah,
Yeah, that's a
great.
good one.
That's a sprinter.
Yeah. I was going to think something like speed because you're so fast. Well, Margo, you have done such a great job today. Thank you so much. It's just been awesome. I've been inspired. I hope others
have too. Yeah.
Yeah. So we will let you sign off and just really appreciate you spending the time with us today.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
Take care. So Maria.
Yes.
Was
Great
that awesome?
interview. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was so inspired.
I was too.
And I have a couple of takeaways. Do you?
Okay. Yeah, I think let's hear yours and then I'll do mine.
Okay. So I really want to point out when Margo talked about her best 100 free that she had ever done, and this is the one where she did a historic sub 47 swim, and that was at the NCAA championships when she led off the relay. And I'm going to actually give my 2 points on that one swim. Number one, that was her 13th swim of the meet. So I think what that tells me there is that, one, she was physically exhausted, but her mindset overcame that, overwrote that in her. You know, she just said, you know, I want to get my team out in front. We have a chance to win the national title in this. And she just went for it, even though she was exhausted. And a 13th swim for a sprinter is a lot. So I just love that. So number one, that you can still perform at your best, whether it's swimming or something else where you may be physically tired, but your mind is there. And then the second takeaway for me on that swim is that she is getting better results when she does things for other people, you know, when she's not so focused on herself. So on that relay, one of the reasons she was able to overcome physical exhaustion was that she was doing it for the team. So those are my 2 takeaways. How about you?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I was also moved by how she started and sort of, you know, throughout the interview, it was talking about others, even when she was talking about kids, you know, like at the end we asked her, is there anything else? And she wanted to give something away. So her whole thing about, you know, not being selfish. I don't think she's a naturally selfish person, but what I think she's done lately is to be able to turn that to get out of her own head about herself and get control of her thoughts and turn her natural unselfishness into something that's actually helping her swimming. So my takeaways are that it doesn't matter if you've been out of the water for a year or whatever. If you can always go back in. You know, I think it's really, really special that, you know, she had this career, she had some disappointments and she thought she was done, but she still wanted to be near the water. I heard in an interview, she always wanted to be a swim coach. So, but then she realized, wait, you know, I'm not done and there's more in me. And here's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to work on my mindset. You know, she's also obviously doing amazing training with an amazing coach, but she's really working on her mindset, and that is helping her. So one of my inspirations or takeaways from that would be it's never too late, and you know what you're thinking about is so important, and that you can always change that. You can change your mindset. Sometimes we can feel stuck, and she proves that no, you don't ever have to be stuck. So I guess those are both of my, and I love, of course, the story about that pause in the stands, you know, when she was 10 years old. That was such a great story, because there's a part of her that likes, you know, even though she's an introvert, there's a part of her that wants people to know that she's special, and she is.
Yeah, she is. And you know, everybody that has ever mentions her name loves her. Like she's just,
that's right.
You can tell that her teammates love her, people that swim with her love her. And I'm not sure that she necessarily is seeking the spotlight as much as when I heard the story of her as a 10-year-old, the kind of achievement that is. Even at 10, believe it or not, as someone who started out at 10, and I was thrilled with a top 10 time, not even a number 1 time, that has been part of her psyche since she was 10. So at 10, when she thought, hey, I'm number 1, if I just keep this up every year, I can be number 1 and I can make the Olympic team. So this has been, that was her ignition moment that we said. So I loved that part of it.
Oh, and another thing that struck me about her, and I think this is really important. She said, I love the water. I love swimming. Not everybody does. We kind of joked about that.
Right.
But she recognized herself as a person who loves the water. And I think knowing yourself and knowing, why am I doing this? I'm not doing it for my mom and dad. I'm not doing it for, anybody. I love the water and I want to be in it. So I think that was beautiful too.
Yes. There were a lot, and having a clear vision, being able to see herself with her goals is big. So yeah, lots of good takeaways there. So before we wrap, Maria, what action item are you going to take out of here?
Action item. I think, believe it or not, my action item is going to be to think clearly about what it is that I really love, and make sure that I am doing those things that I love, because I think, we're sort of naturally created to be good at certain things. So her little story about realizing not realizing it, but telling us that she loves the water, it really inspired me to think about, oh, okay, am I doing the things that I love? And I'm going to make sure I am. What about you, Kelly?
I think I'm going to take away from this the action item that it's never too late to course correct. I mean, even though she didn't, she kind of quit swimming, got out of swimming, went into coaching, and then said, you know what, I want to go back into swimming. So that if I see something that I want to go back and do, I just love that it's not too late to just say, yeah, I'm going to go back into that. So that's going to be my action item. So beautiful. Well, there is our interview with Margo Geer. And if you guys are enjoying our show, we would so love to hear it from you. You can visit us at championsmojo.com. Everything's there, all the episodes, how to email us. And we really appreciate you listening with us.
Yes, thanks for listening. And please do email if you have any thoughts or ideas. Have a great week.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Maria. Love you.
Love you too, Kelly. Bye.
Bye.
This week's quote of the week comes from an unknown source. Every setback is an opportunity for a comeback.
We are so grateful that you spent this time with us today, and we hope that you heard something that inspired, motivated, and educated you. Signing off for myself and my champion co-host, Maria Parker, we hope you'll join us again soon, and we know you can be a champion. Thank you for listening, and please see below for a copy of the show notes for any links or important information that we've referenced here.
You've been listening to the Champions Mojo podcast, designed to make you feel inspired, motivated, and educated. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. Also visit championsmojo.com to learn more.